together, everyone. Together, together. Come on, let's have some fun. Together, we're there for each other every time. Together, together. Come on, let's do this right. Here and now, it's time for celebration. I finally figured out, yeah, that our dreams have no limitations. That's what it's all about. Come on now. Everyone is special in their own way. We make each other strong. Each other strong. We're not the same. We're different in a good way. Together's where we belong. We're all in this together. Once we know that we are, we're all stars, and we see that we're all in this together. And it shows when we stand hand in hand, make our dreams come true. Everybody now, together, together, everyone. Together, come on, let's have some fun.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Whole School Assembly. We are live from the Prince of Wales School, and we have a special guest this morning. Good morning, Julia.
Hello, everyone.
We are outside today in the preschool area. Oh, I put the wrong thing on. Let's put that on, shall we? There we are. There's Julia.
Hi, everyone. It's lovely to see you all.
And Julia's going to do a bit of storytelling.
Yeah, today I've chosen the story of the fidgety fish. And at preschool, we're looking at the seaside this week. And we had a surprise visitor this morning of a live crab. So I thought I would share the story of the fidgety fish with you. Fidgety fish. Tiddler was always fidgeting. He wriggled and he squiggled. He darted and he giggled. Until his mum got fed up with him. Go out into the sea and swim till you're tired. But watch out for the big fish, she said. So Tiddler swam out of his cave. He dived and he flipped. He leapt and he dipped. He sped faster than a rocket. And he glided gently like a swan, letting the sea currents fan his fins. But he still didn't feel tired. There were limpets that clung and jellyfish that stung, and Tiddler swam on towards the big red starfish and butted it gently with his nose. The starfish just smiled. So Tiddler asked the clickety-clackety crab to play, but it scuttled off into the seaweed. Tiddler came to a big, dark cave. It looked much more exciting than his cave back home, and Tiddler swam in. Snap! Tiddler was trapped inside the big fish. He trembled and he shivered and he shook and he quivered until the big fish's tummy began to feel rather funny indeed. It rumbled and it grumbled, it turned and it tumbled, it fluttered and it groaned, and it mumbled and moaned, and suddenly the big fish did an enormous burp. And whoosh! Out shot Tiddler. Past the jellyfish and the clickety-clackety crab, past the starfish and straight through his own front door. I hope you've used up all that energy, said his mum. But she would have to wait until the morning to hear about his adventures, because Tiddler was already fast asleep. And that's the story of Tiddler.
We've got a few people saying hello, Mrs. Nynham. We've got, let's see if I can find my mouse, shall we? We've got hello from Mrs. Barrow, Mr. McBean, and the Year 2 children in the Engaged Kingdom.
Hello, everyone in the Engaged Kingdom.
We've got an hello here from good morning from Jessica, and hello to Joshua and his friends in the Kingdoms of Wonder and Curiosity.
Morning, Jessica.
Wonderful that we've got lots of people joining us live this morning. Do put a comment in the comment box. Have you got another story there?
We've got Bright Stanley.
Oh, fantastic.
Are you coming to join me, Oliver?
Fantastic. Come and join us, Oliver.
So we've got another fishy seaside story, and today's story is far below. It's called Bright Stanley. And I wonder why he's called Bright Stanley. Why do you think he's called Bright Stanley, Oliver? He is quite bright in his colour, isn't he? You coming to join in too, Harry? Come along and join us. Far below the waves, a little fish called Stanley lived with his shawl. They were the brightest, sparkliest fish in the whole of the deep, dark sea. One morning, Stanley woke up rather late. "Cooey, it's me," he called to his friends, but the reef seemed strangely quiet. Suddenly, Stanley remembered that today was the day when the shawl swam to cooler waters for the summer. "Jumping jellyfish," he groaned. He hurried to the meeting point as fast as his fins could carry him. But there was no one there. As he looked around, he saw a bright light. "Ah, they haven't got far," he said, and he raced towards it. But it was only what do we have? Only a lobster counting coins. "Go away! Don't touch my treasure," the lobster growled, snappeting his claws. "I'm just looking for my friend," said Stanley. "Fish," said the lobster, grumbling. "Those others were in such a hurry to find someone, they upset my coins." "Others?" cried Stanley. "My friends?" "Well, go and join them then," said the lobster, pointing grumpily, and Stanley sped off. Ahead of him, Stanley saw a golden glow. He couldn't just make out the bright, sparkly fish, one of his friends. So he said, "Cooey, is it me?" he called, swimming even faster. Clonk! Stanley crashed headfirst into something very hard. "Jumping jellyfish!" he cried. It wasn't one of his friends at all, but his own reflection in a shiny pearl. Stanley rubbed his bumped nose, feeling a little dazed. He didn't notice a dark shape coming up behind him. And what have we got here, Harry? Sharks. There's a shark in the shadow on its way. Are you ready? When he turned round, Stanley found himself staring straight into the mouth of a huge shark. Oh my goodness, look at those teeth! "Ah!" shrieked Stanley. Over boulders and under the weeds he dashed with the shark snapping at his tail. Suddenly Stanley saw a small hole in a rock below. He dived down and he wiggled inside just before he was gobbled up. Deep inside the cave, Stanley shivered and he shook. He felt very sad and very lonely. He was beginning to think he would never see his friends again. "Wow, I can't stay here forever," he sighed at last, and he poked his head out of the cave to check that the shark had gone. "Jumping jellyfish!" he squealed. The sea was golden orange, sparkling and glittering. It was the most wonderful sight he'd ever seen, because there in front of him was... What do you think it might be, Harry?
Friends.
Might be his friends. His shawl. "Cooey, it's me," he called. "Stanley!" his friends shouted. "Where have you been? We've been looking for you everywhere." Stanley told them of his adventures as they all swam off in one bright, sparkly, happy shawl. That's the end of our lovely story of Bright Stanley.
Fantastic. We've got and Julia. Oh, there we go. We're back. We've all sorts of funny technical challenges there, but we're back and we're going to say hello to a few people. We've got great story, Mummy loves Charlotte and Grace.
Hi, Charlotte and Grace.
Hello, everyone in year 2 from Rosa. We've got hello, Julia, and preschool from Miss Johnson, Mrs. Scott, and the new year 4 Kingdom. We love your fishy stories.
Hi, year 4 Kingdom.
We've got Auntie Michelle's enjoying the assembly too. Brilliant as always, and to the whole school from the Nynham family.
Hi, Auntie Michelle.
Well done, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back live at 4 o'clock for our next live broadcast. Goodbye, Julia.
Bye, everyone. Have a lovely day.